Good day everyone and welcome to this video about the top 10 worst sets in the game. The amount of sets in ESO is very high. There's almost 500 of them by now, and this includes 5-piece set, mythic items, monster sets and arena weapons as well. Many of these are bad too. I've already gone over those that are good, see the video that is linked in the description. And while in raw numbers that is a pretty decent amount of variability with almost 40 sets, it is still only about 10% of the total amount of sets in the game. That should show that there is a lot of bad sets in the game, and if you're making a new build for something, it's difficult to go looking for new set ideas sometimes, because you have to go through a lot of garbage. Sometimes if I'm putting together a new build, for example my recent PvP Bowblade, I do have to go through all these sets to find the optimal one. In this case it was for double barring a damage set, and for it I went over to Alcast's ESO sets website, where I had to look through the total of 500 sets, considering for each one whether it was fitting for this purpose or whether it has some previously unknown application that could be overpowered. Assuming it takes like 10 seconds to consider for each of these sets, that does take quite a bit of time. And that's what I did for this video as well. I went through all of these sets to find the worst ones, so you don't have to. Lastly, I just want to mention that I am ignoring Empower sets. They are obviously entirely useless for PvP, as this buff doesn't apply there, but since even though I'm mostly of a PvP perspective here, I'm also thinking of PvE, and since Empower does have some use there, I'm gonna keep sets that give Empower out of the list. So let's start with the 10th spot. There I have Vampire Lord. Its 2 to 4 piece bonuses are not that crazy, they're not terrible, but with simply Magicka, spell damage and crit chance, you're already decently good to go. But the 5-piece Atom is truly quite horrible. It basically is the passive of the Vampire skill line, but just exaggerated. It is going to give you additional flame damage taken and an increased regular ability cost, and the only thing you get back from that is a reduced vampire ability cost, at most 20% at Vampire Stage 4. This set is aimed obviously at builds that rely purely on the vampire skill line, but that is basically not done, and it's not a good idea to do that either. That generally gives really weak builds. And this set, in my opinion, would make a build like that even weaker rather than stronger, because even though you have a bit of a cost decrease on your vampire abilities, you also have an increased regular ability cost, which offsets that, and you take additional flame damage. As in PvE, that is not useful for any flame damage trial, dungeon or boss, and in PvP that's also not really good, because any Dragonite is going to vaporize you even more than they would do without this set active. Next up on number 9 is Shalidor's Curse. This set is for a 2 to 4 piece bonus, maximum health and healing taken. Not bad for a set aimed at tankiness, but again the 5-piece bonus completely brings down all the value of this set, because all it does is that while you're under 50% health, give you a little bit of healing while you hit someone with a light or heavy attack. It has a cooldown of 1 second, which honestly is not even that relevant, since you can only light attack once every second anyway, and a super low value on the heal. It also scales of the higher of your maximum magicka and stamina, and generally that's not a good idea to stack these maximum resources, and thus the potential of the value here is diminished even further, to the point where you have a really little heal when you are below 50% health from this set. Definitely a lot of room for improvement here, for example by increasing the heal or bringing it to all the time, rather than just only under 50% health. On number 8 I have a similar set, which is called Song of Lemire. Again, for the 2 to 4 piece bonuses, we have a pretty good variation of armor and health for a tanky sort of setup or build, but the 5-piece bonus is virtually worthless. Simply every 3 seconds, while you are below 30% health, you're going to deal a little bit of damage to the attacker and heal for the damage done. At least it scales off your maximum health, so that's a bit more useful for a tanky sort of build, since that often has a lot of health, say 35 to 40k or more. But still the value is ridiculously small, and thus you get very little healing from this. Like the previous sets, this set is wildly outperformed by other tanky options, even the long since nerfed Crimson Twilight. At number 7 we have Infernal Guardian. Now this is a bit of a funny one. It's a monster set that's in the list here, and simply put it's going to lob flame mortars pretty frequently for a low amount of damage when you apply a damage shield, and the funny part is that it scales off your weapon and spell damage. Now for starters, the base value of this set, the base damage for the proc, is really low, so regardless you're not going to get much damage out of this. But on top of that, it scales off spell damage, and you have to cast a shield up for it, and shields they scale off of maximum magicka. So your options are that you either build for strong shields, and then you have a weak proc with Infernal Guardian, or you build for spell damage to have a stronger proc for Infernal Guardian, and then you have very weak shields. This set really forces you into a choice that is suboptimal either way, and is very much deserving of a spot in the top 10 worst sets. Then at number 6, I have Hunt Leader. This set for a 4-piece bonus has stamina twice and some weapon damage, not great, not terrible either. And then as a 5-piece bonus, it gives you a bit of health and a bit of stamina every 5 seconds when your pets attack an enemy you have also attacked. Basically, it's a set that's going to give you a very small amount of healing and about 200 stamina regeneration translated from what the 5-piece bonus gives. And that's really bad. It's super low value that you get out of this set, and you also have to specifically play a character that needs extra stamina regeneration and that has a pet. So you would have to, for example, go with a Stamcrow with the Archer Necromancer pet, or a Nightblade with Shade. This is only a small part of all the possible specs you can play in this game, and even if you do fulfill the requirements for this set, you get a really small value out of it. That is outperformed by every single other defensive set and regeneration set in the game. Hitting halfway at number 5, I have Trinimag's Valor. This set is clearly designed for Magicka users, with a 4-piece bonus giving twice magic recovery and once maximum magicka. These bonuses are a common theme for these sets, not terrible but not that good either. And the 5-piece bonus is a proc that occurs when you cast a damage shield, where you will call down a fragment of Trinimag, basically a little proc that is going to heal your group members and damage enemies for a really low value after a 2-second delay. It can occur every 5 seconds and it scales with the higher of your maximum magicka and stamina. And even though now you have a set where you can cast a damage shield which scales with maximum magicka and have the proc actually scale with maximum magicka as well, it is a really bad option because of simply how low the proc damage and healing is, and also because there's a 2-second delay for it. It's also at a super small radius of 5 meters, making it super easy to avoid and super easy to hit on your allies if you want to heal them, making this set totally useless because of that. Perhaps fittingly so, Trinimag's Valor is truly a shit set. At number 4, there is Glorious Defender. This set gives a mix of maximum health and spell and weapon damage on its 2 to 4 piece bonuses, and then its 5 piece bonus is one of the most laughable in the game. When you bash an enemy, you gain Glorious Defense for 10 seconds, allowing you to dodge the next attack made against you and all others afterwards for 1 second. This effect can occur once every 13 seconds. What this basically means that you have to be in melee range, perform a specific action, and then enjoy a 10-second duration. Oh wait, it's only a 1-second duration of a dodge on some attacks, and with a super long cooldown attached to it as well. Now granted, being able to dodge something reliably is pretty nice if, for example, you're in PvE and you wish to dodge a boss attack. But there are many better ways to go and defend yourself against that than using this set, and in PvE it's basically useless as well, because a 1-second dodge for which you have to specifically bash an enemy is going to be unnoticeable for both you and your enemies. On top of that, this set also drops from Maelstrom Arena, and if you want to one-bar it, you would have to grind this place a lot in order to get this set. Entering the top 3, there is the Nightmare set. Now this set gives a pretty valid 2 to 5 piece bonus of some maximum health and armor, but on the 5 piece bonus you basically get nothing, simply applying minor maim to all the enemies around you in 8 meters. This is a laughable 5% damage reduction that they will do, which is something you can get from many other sources as well, for example the chilled status effect, and this set dedicates its 5 piece bonus to it, which is just completely ignored. Even the maximum health it gives can probably be more important than the minor maim to begin with, making the set more important for its 4 piece bonus than its 5 piece bonus as well. A gallant entry into number 2 is made by the arena set Gallant Charge. This set is a sword and board 2-piece set which reduces the cost of shield charge by 25% and reduces the cost of your next non-shield charge one-handed shield ability within 3 seconds by 100%. Basically a very small sustain buff, which is generally not needed for any setup, not in PvE and definitely not in PvP either. And at that, it's not that good anyway, because it reduces the cost of a singular skill, and then you have to really go and spam that skill to get some value out of the secondary effect, where it reduces another skill's cost by 100%. The only use that is probably there is if somebody wants to charge after a streaking Magicka Sorcerer by just spamming the skill over and over and being able to do it endlessly. And with this ridiculous singular use, it also has to be added that Mashorc is not even that good right now, so you don't need this set anyway to chase them down. So it is definitely deserving of the number 2 spot. And then finally, at number 1, in my opinion the worst set in the game, is Nicholas Heavy Armor. This set is another set that tries to be tanky with this 2 to 4 piece bonus, giving armor and maximum health. And then for the 5 piece bonus, it is one of those sets where you gain a stack of something, in this case Nicholas Resolve, and after getting a certain amount of stacks, it will consume that Nicholas Resolve and deflect a singular attack back against the enemy. This effect, if you are constantly blocking, is going to occur once every 4 seconds, which means that if you're under pressure with this tanky set, you are going to reflect a singular skill, maybe a light attack or a random spammable that somebody casts, every 4 seconds. I can't state enough how useless this is, how completely unnoticeable this is as well for both you and the enemy, to simply reflect one projectile back when you're constantly being hit on. And it's also difficult to have control over this set too, because if you stop blocking, you can decide when you build the stacks of Nicholas Resolve, but not blocking for a while also comes at the big drawback where you will just be taking more damage. And if you don't block for 5 seconds, this set's effect wears off completely and you have to start building stacks yet again. So not only does this set force you to keep up block pretty regularly, it also gives you virtually nothing back in return, where this is really the definition of a completely useless set. It does nothing at all. If anything, it's going to be a drawback for you, if you want to make use of it. And that's it for this leaderboard of bad sets in the game. While this video is mostly intended for some entertainment on how bad sets can really get in this game, perhaps it can also showcase that instead of adding more and more sets to the game, it could be a good idea to just update what's already there. ESO has a huge variety in sets, and still there's only a couple dozen that are commonly considered for either PvE or PvP. Even if that means you can't add new sets in a zone, it's entirely possible to move old sets to new zones, and have for example 2 sets drop in every zone rather than 3. That way ZeniMax can still add some desirability to the new zones for players to go and grind there if they would wish to do so. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 video of the worst sets in the game. Just stop messing around. If you enjoy it, be sure to like it, let me know in the comments or subscribe. And if this kind of video does well, I might always make more of it. Stay tuned on the channel for more incoming builds and videos like this one, and I hope you'll have a good day. See ya!